this weekend was Fanatics Fest in New York City. Really cool moment I saw on Instagram. I don't know if you saw this, Jeff. Our guy Peter Rosenberg from ESPN New York, and ESPN does a million things up there. Peter has a little baby girl. She's probably 6 months old now, is my guess. I think it was last fall. Maybe a little older, somewhere around there, little baby. And her name is, I believe, Maya, but her middle name is Jaden. And Peter posted a video of getting to meet Jaden with his little girl. And I texted him. I was like, well, did you tell her about the middle name? And his reply was, what do you think, LOL? So I think that's got to be a pretty special moment. And Jaden did all sorts of stuff, man. Jaden did a podium with Joe Montana and Dan Marino. We got to talk about this rookie card that Josh Harris paid $500,000 for. Man. We got to talk about that because I'll let callers educate me on that because the card world is crazy and there's some serious value in that. But I want to start with, what is actually news? It has a very different definition today than maybe it did 5, 10, 20, 50 years ago. I'm not sure Walter Cronkite would really appreciate what the news is today. When you have a player talk about a former coach that now coaches another rival team, I find that really interesting. So this is yesterday. Kevin Durant gets traded. Kevin Durant's at Fanatics Fest for an appearance, presumably. Starts talking about the trade to Houston, how, Houston was one of the teams he said he would go to. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff. But this is Kevin Durant being interviewed by Kay Adams. Kevin Durant, obviously a huge Redskins football team, Commanders, burgundy and gold fan. And he's never been shy about how much he loves burgundy and gold. But Micah Parsons happens to be standing there also at this Fanatics Fest event. Let's hear the audio, and then we got plenty to react to.
Which is here. Do you want to recruit him to the Commanders? Yeah. Micah, get on in here.
I think Micah,
he's not signed to the Cowboys.
I think he will be a Commander at some point in his career.
When?
I would say 2 years from now.
Yo, I only rock with Dan Quinn, you know what I mean? Anybody else?
Exactly. That's all he need to rock with.
My neck hurts. You guys are too tall. I can't handle this. Micah, I love you. Which is here. Do you want?
All right. So when you heard that, I mean, it's one thing for KD to say, yeah, I think he's going to be there in 2 years.
Yeah.
But so let's just lay out the facts of the matter. Micah Parsons just finished his 4th season in the NFL. He's now going to play on the 5th-year option of his rookie contract. So he's under contract. And let's be real, the team has a franchise tag looming after that 5th-year rookie option. So for KD to say in 2 years, KD knows ball, right? Like he understands the contract mechanisms, clearly both in the NBA and in the NFL. And that's kind of interesting to me. But for Parsons, a dude that is on the Cowboys, to say I only rock with Dan Quinn, clearly their relationship is very real and very close.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is surprising, but to hear it, it's also not surprising to come from Micah because it feels like he's always saying stuff that's a little bit edgy at times. But yeah, I mean, it's clear that he loves Dan Quinn. I don't think that's any surprise to the matter. And I think that's why even speculation, it hasn't been as much recently, but speculation basically since he hasn't signed a new contract has been that, he could end up in DC, right? Like until he signs a long-term deal to be in Dallas for 5 years, he absolutely has a chance to play here in DC because he loved Dan Quinn so much. And like we talked about last week, everyone talked about how much everyone loves Dan Quinn, and I didn't fully buy all that stuff, and I was wrong. I mean, it's so clear how much everybody loves him, so why wouldn't Micah Parsons be in that same boat? And he's one of the best pass rushers in the league. I think you welcome it with open arms if you could get him over here, and I think KD's just planting a little seed for us.
So I want to open the phones on this. 800-636-1067. 800-636-1067. Because I know a big portion of like Commander's social media really believes Parsons wants to be here and that there's a path forward. I personally feel Parsons wants a fat daddy new contract. And the way Jerry operates, the way the Cowboys tend to operate is they take a long damn time, but eventually they pay up and keep their guys. Mm-hmm. Parsons, the kind of contract you're talking about here, Myles Garrett just signed a deal that pays him $40 a year, and Myles Garrett is 30. I mean, Parsons has only played 4 seasons. He's only 26. He just turned 26 like a month ago. I think he would reset the market, which is almost unfathomable. That, I mean, he'd be making, what's he get to, 42 a year? To me, all is fair in love and war and NFL players wanting new contracts. So to me, what's very real is the love for Dan Quinn. But what I still have a hard time seeing, maybe ever, is Micah Parsons in Washington, certainly in 2 years. Jeffrey, I know that this stuck with you too.
Yes, it did, JP. And I would love for Micah to be on our team. But realistically, that is what Jerry Jones is playing through his head right now. He probably played this as soon as he heard KD say that crazy stuff. Man, it's not going to happen. I wanted to, though. I'm not going to lie. I would want Micah Parsons here. I mean, I hate the Cowboys, but I don't hate the players, you know. They're good. I would love it, but let's get back to reality now. Jerry is not letting that man go.
800-636-1067. I think if you think there's this, to me, the path here is Parsons has to force a trade and say, I want to go to Washington.
100%.
Because, I mean, what percent chance realistic do you think that could be?
I think it's more real than you could think, but I don't see how Dallas doesn't pay him and just say, you're sticking around. Because to your point, I mean, sometimes to their detriment, they wait till the last second to pay these guys. But Dak never left the building. CD hasn't left the building. I don't think they're going to let the guy that, to me personally, like if I were starting a team and I had to choose one defender around the league to start the team with, I'd choose Micah Parsons. I think they understand how valuable he is, and he's versatile. He's really good. I think he's still got places that he can improve and get better at. So I don't think they would let him out, but if it were to be that he would get too frustrated for whatever reason, then maybe that could happen. So I think there is a little bit of a chance that he would ask for a trade, but the likelihood of that still isn't great.
Yeah, I just think this is like really fun June content.
Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are the Giants either.
What do you mean?
They're not giving none of their stars to a in-conference team.
Well, I mean, they let Saquon get to actual free agency, right? I don't think, dude, I mean, he's going to play on the 5th year. Then they have the tag. Maybe they wouldn't tag him again because it jumps up so ridiculously. But Jerry, he goes through this and he takes it. He costs himself money by going too far with this stuff. But eventually, like, I don't see this happening. And I know folks get really excited. I don't think it's real.
Yeah, I mean, I would love for him to be someone that you could go after, but it's also tough when you've made all these sorts of trades, JP, that if we're talking about the only way that you're getting him is via a trade. You've already traded so many picks for guys where you traded for Tunsil, and I think we like that trade. You traded for Debo, even though that one didn't cost a lot. That's still draft capital, and obviously the Lattimore trade. And the most expensive guy out of all of them in terms of draft capital, if you were going to have to trade for him, is Micah Parsons. We're talking probably multiple firsts, or at least a first and a really good player. So I think that's in a tough spot where maybe down the line they would feel that way, but you'd also be tying yourself to him for a long time. And essentially your top 2 guys would be Jaden and Micah Parsons, which would be up there in the league as a good 1-2 duo in terms of offense and defense around the entire National Football League. But you have to make sure that the roster's built out. If Adam Peters feels in a couple of years that the roster is kind of in a spot where he could give up a couple of picks, like, you know, for example, right now, Philadelphia, if they traded a couple of 1s, I think they could get away with it because they've got a built roster. I don't know that Washington can quite get to that point yet. So if they feel like they are, And some of these rookies that they've drafted this past season, last year, some of the guys coming in on these rookie contracts start proving themselves, then maybe you feel like you can do that. But that's a lot if you're going to have to trade for him. If he hits free agency, I think that's a different story, and I think I'd definitely be willing to go top of the market sort of money for him. But if you're going to have to trade for him, I don't think that that's something that makes a lot of sense.
Dude, I mean, just this coming year, they don't have a second or a fourth rounder. So right now, you're looking at 5 picks for the organization, and 3 of those are day 3s. You're right. I don't think Parsons ever truly hits free agency. I think they do get a deal wrapped up in Dallas. But damn, he's good. Like, obviously, you'd love to have him. And I think it's cool how much he loves DQ. And I'm sure it goes beyond that. Like, I'm sure it's Joe Witt. I'm sure there's lots of factors there. But I think it's a really fun conversation. I mean, if you look at, Dak's deal is just such a monster. But if you look at next season, they've got Dak with a $74 million cap hit, and then CD's got an almost $40 million cap hit. Eventually, you probably, you trade for Pickens. If that trade's going to be worthwhile, then you're going to have to get him a new deal. But I just think they'll make it work, dude.
Yeah, you can't, if you're Jerry Jones and you've got those dudes there, you want to keep that core together to try and win, because otherwise it feels like a little bit of a failed era of Cowboys football, which it kind of is, right? For the fact that they haven't really won anything with Dak and with CD and the Micah Parsons. But I would think that you got to try to at least keep him, because you don't want to turn into the Cincinnati Bengals where all of your resources are going to be on one side of the football.
Right. I agree with that. Dak has been good for a while in Dallas. Dak's regular season record as a starting quarterback, he's 30 games over 500. And maybe you don't want wins, losses as a stat for QBs. I'm just saying that they've played good football down there, and just the playoffs have been abysmal. In 7 playoff starts, Dak is 2-5.